And now, Anna Does Everything proudly presents Cinderella. It is based on the story of Cinderella. What? Let's tell you the story, shall we? Once upon a time, there lived a young girl named Cinderella. Cinderella had 4 ugly, mean stepsisters named Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona made Cinderella do all the chores. Sweep the floors. Wash the dishes. Do it all. Said Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona all together. One day, the king of Quadruple's messengers said, "Hear ye, hear ye! The king of Quadruple is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Forting." But Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. "He's going to marry me," said Fiona. Ophelia said, "No way, Fiona! He's going to marry me." Ursula said, "Both of you are wrong! He's going to marry me." Ramona said, "All 3 of you are wrong! He's going to marry me." Later, Cinderella is so sad because she can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14, while her fairy godmother asks her what's wrong by saying, "Why are you crying, Cinderella?" Cinderella responds, "I got lots of chores to be done. I can't go to the ball and marry Prince 14. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, "I can help with a bit of magic." Cinderella's fairy godmother chants the magic words, "Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo," and waves her magic wand. Because of that, all of Cinderella's chores are all done. But Cinderella's fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, "Cinderella, go fetch me a pumpkin." Luckily, Cinderella has 4 pumpkins. Cinderella's fairy godmother said, and then chants the magic words, "Quiddity, quaddity, quaddity, quoo," and waves her magic wand to turn the 4 pumpkins into a handsome coach drawn by 8 strong horses. And then Cinderella's clothes into a gathered crowd. Cinderella said, "I've never seen such a quadtastic gown. And get a lot of my glass slippers." Her fairy godmother said, "Have fun, mighty Cinderella. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken, and everything will turn back to the way it was before." Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, Prince Fortune was wondering who he should marry. Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona said all together, "He's walking towards me." But he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards Cinderella. Cinderella and Prince 14 dance happily together. But later, Cinderella realizes it's midnight, so she scurried out of the ball. And she was running so fast that she lost both her glass slippers. Prince 14 was so worried that he might never see Cinderella again. So he traveled all around Quadruple to find her, and brought the 2 tiny glass slippers with him. He knocked on the door of the home where Cinderella and her stepsisters live, but instead of Cinderella, he finds Fiona, Ophelia, Ursula, and Ramona. He then said, "Ladies, I have a favor to ask. Kitty and Fiona tried on these glass slippers. Fiona at first, but her feet are too big. Ophelia said, but her feet are too small. Ursula and Ramona did the same thing, but their feet don't fit either. Suddenly, Prince 14 notices Swarla's sweet singing. The glass slippers fit! Swarla gets so excited because she's happy to have her Prince 14 back. And they both lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. And if you want to see some sequels, tell your friends about it. And then, take care, Andrew's Doors. Bye. And now, Andrew's Doors, Andrew Does Everything proudly presents for the 3000th episode of Andrew Does Everything special, 3000 Cinderella. It is based on the story of Cinderella with a bit of a twist. Once upon a time, there was a young girl named 3000 Cinderella. 3000 Cinderella had 13 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters named Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, Emmy, Tilly, Hannah, Ophelia, Uniqua, Sasha, Alana, Natalia, and Dahlia. All 13 of them made 3000 Cinderella do all the chores. 30,000 a wench. Sweep the floors, wash the dishes, do it all, said Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, Emmy, Tilly, Hannah, Ophelia, Uniqua, Sasha, Alana, Natalia, and Dahlia all together. And then one day, the king of Tri-Millennium's messenger arrives and says, Hear ye! The king of Tri-Millennium is going to throw a ball, and whoever has the most beautiful gown and crown shall marry his son, Prince Tri-Millennium. But 3000 Cinderella is not welcome. Her stepsisters are. He's going to marry me, said Tasha, the oldest stepsister. Hannah said, No way, Tasha, you're wrong. He's going to marry me. Rena said, Both of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. The rest said, All three of you are wrong. He's going to marry me. Later, 3000 Cinderella is so sad about not going to the ball and marrying Prince Tri-Millennium while doing chores. Suddenly, her fairy godmother arrives and Anne asks 3000 Cinderella what's wrong by saying, Why are you crying, 3000 Cinderella? In which 3000 Cinderella responds, I have lots of chores to be done, but I can't go to the ball and marry Prince Tri-Millennium. 3000 Cinderella's fairy godmother says, I can help with a bit of magic, and waves her magic wand. Because of that, 3000 Cinderella's chores are all done, but her fairy godmother is not done yet. She said, 3000 Cinderella, go fetch me a pumpkin and some mice. Luckily, 3000 Cinderella has 3000 pumpkins and 6000 mice. 3000 Cinderella's fairy godmother waves her magic wand again to turn the 3000 pumpkins into a handsome coach, and the 6000 mice into horses, and 3000 Cinderella's red clothes into a gown and crown. 3000 Cinderella says, I've never seen such a Tri-Millennium-tastic gown. Get a load of my glass slippers. Fairy godmother, how can I ever thank you enough? And climbs into the coach. 3000 Cinderella's fairy godmother said, Well, you can't. But have fun, 3000 Cinderella. But I would warn you, return home before midnight, or the spell will be broken and everything will change back to the way it was before. And gave her a clock to tell her what time it is. Cinderella accepted the warning. Meanwhile, at the ball, the king of Trimaluplingham said, "Good evening, everyone. My son, Prince Trimalupling, was wondering who will marry. Isn't that right, son?" Prince Trimalupling responds, "Yes, father." Suddenly, Cinderella arrived at the ball just in time. Tasha, Hannah, Arena, Ellie, Emmy, Tilly, Hannah, Ophelia, Uniqua, Sasha, Alana, Natalia, and Dahlia say, "He's walking towards me!" all together, but he's not walking towards any of them. He's walking towards Cinderella. Prince Trimalupling then asks, "May I have this dance?" And Cinderella responds, "I would be delighted." And Prince Trimalupling and Cinderella danced happily together. But later, Cinderella checks her clock. It's almost midnight! So she scurried out of the ball, and she was running so fast that she lost both of her glass slippers. Prince Trimalupling was so worried that he might never see Cinderella again. The king of Trimaluplingham comforts him by saying, There now, son. I think we'll be able to find Cinderella." And so, Prince Trimalupling and his father began their journey all around Trimaluplingham to find Cinderella and brought the 2 glass slippers with them. By the time they arrived, Prince Trimalupling knocked on the door of the house where Cinderella and her 13 ugly, mean, wicked stepsisters there lived. But instead of Cinderella, they find Tasha, Hannah, Rena, Ellie, Emmy, Tilla, Hannah, Ophelia, Uniqua, Sasha, Alana, Natalie, and Dahlia. Prince Trimalupling and the king of Trimaluplingham then say, "Ladies, we have a favor to ask. Can you try on these glass slippers?" Tasha is first, but her feet are too big. Hannah is next, but her feet are too small. "Nonsense! It fits!" she said. The rest did the same, but none of the feet are the right size. Suddenly, Prince Trimalupling and the king of Trimaluplingham noticed Cinderella singing, "The glass slippers fit!" And so, Cinderella, Prince Trimalupling, and the king of Trimaluplingham lived happily ever after. The end. Andrew's Doers, I hope this was a fun story for the 3,000th episode of our show, of our channel special. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on Andrew Does Everything. And buy our merchandise at andrewdoeseverything.com. And then I have one more thing to say. Take care, Andrew's Doers. Bye.